We want to build a community and share other women's stories. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the She Who Leads podcast. Today, I've got an amazing person with me, and she's not just someone that I really want to talk about in terms of what she's doing in the market, but she's also someone that's become a friend through a strange twist of events, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more. But I'd like to introduce Phoebe Waters. We know her as P. And Phoebe is the co-founder and partner of Optimising Potential, a consulting firm focused on high impact and female leadership. She's also a part-time academic, and she's also somebody that is now the sole leadership consultant for UN Women in the UK for the next year. So she does a lot, and I'm sure we will talk for a long time today. We're going to talk about breaking the system, particularly focus on women in leadership, inequality, and building change from the inside out. So, P, thank you so much. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Terry. I'm very excited to be here. And yes, I think we absolutely need to tell everyone about the personal connection as well. So I'll leave that to you.
So, a couple of years ago, we didn't know at the time, mutual best friend asked me on one occasion to be her maid of honor, and at the same time asked P to be her maid of honor. So, in this weird twist of events, we were co-maid of honors for our best friend who got married in October 2024. And so the
That's got
lead
the
up to
date
that,
right.
yes, meant that we were planning hen do's, and then also just before we kind of realized that we were going to do this together, I was nominated for Management Today's and 35 under 35. And I saw this person who was a judge. I was like, I know that lady. Like, who is she? And then obviously we met at the award ceremony,
Yeah.
and we'd both been part of the same process.
Mhm.
And with you having been then a winner twice in
Yeah.
2021, 2023, and then also a judge. So
Yes.
just very, very weird connections. And then obviously randomly we bump into each other at all of these different female-led networking events every now
Mhm.
and then too, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, and Josie had always said that we'd get on, didn't she? But I didn't realize quite how much like our both our professional purposes were aligned as well. And it was so exciting meeting you at the 35 under 35, and well done again, Terry, for winning.
You too,
Go
twice.
us.
P, I've just talked about it there. You do so many things and you've got a really interesting background, which has led you to kind of move out of the whole corporate world and really try and do something to make a difference, but on your own, well, with your mum, obviously as your business partner, but to really think
Mhm.
about how you can try and break the system as we talked about at the beginning. And so I'd love to kind of get a whistle stop tour of how you got to that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I think breaking the system firstly is a very polite way of putting it. I'll try not to swear. I get very frustrated sometimes. I think all of
Yeah,
us
I get
do.
it.
I mean, this morning I was wearing a sweatshirt that says, if you are not angry, you're not paying attention. So I think that
Love that.
sums it up. Um, so I'm an investigator, private corporate investigator, as a background, and actually a Russianist. So my going a few years back, my first degree was in Russian and Slavonic studies, um, and then my master's was international security and terrorism. I had wanted to be an investigator since I was about 7 years old. Watched probably far too much James Bond. Pierce Brosnan is our era, aren't we? We're the 90s babies.
Love that.
And it was Die Another Day. Die Another Day is the best one, and I won't hear anything else. And then yeah, had came down to London straight after my MA which had been in Nottingham after having had a year on board in Russia as well. And started working in intelligence and investigations for the corporate sector, based first on Chancery Lane, which you can imagine was quite well, amazing and quite overwhelming to be in the city like straight away after uni like that, thrown in deep in head first to what it was going to be like to be an
Hmm.
investigator. Um, work for a variety of amazing and quite I'm going to use the word interesting again to be diplomatic organizations such as Goldman Sachs,
Hmm.
Schillings, the law firm, Burford Capital, which is the world's largest litigation funder, doing their asset recovery work. So we're talking multi-billion dollar fraud, trying to trace the assets worldwide, particularly in my experience against sovereign states. Absolutely fascinating work. I really, really adored it. And at the same time, as being an investigator, I was doing a lot of pro bono non-profit work in the city, in the corporate space to try and break down systemic inequalities when it comes to women of all intersectionalities, of course, because we are, underestimated, sexualized, um,
Hmm.
and not provided the same opportunities and rights a lot of the time as men, particularly in the city space, as most of us will have experienced. So I really built up an organization called the FFF at the time, the Female Fraud Forum,
Yeah.
which now Josie, our best friend that you mentioned at the beginning, is now the chair of and
Mm.
doing very well at that. And it was really a space in which I spent, I mean, I put my whole heart and soul into it, a space in which I was able to be creative and with the team, of course, with my committee, to build something, to build
Mm.
a safe, fun space for women in the sector to be themselves, to support each other, and actually to support themselves. So I know this isn't really a nutshell. You asked for a nutshell, a whistle
No,
stop
this is
tour.
good. It's good content.
This isn't a whistle stop. And what was happening at the same time is, me doing the investigations every day, then the non-profit work. I became a participant to the Commission on the Status of Women for UN Women for the first time a few years ago. That again was another space in which to be able to develop my understanding about this of gender inequality on a macro level.
Mm.
The applications actually are open for this year now, so I would encourage
Oh.
everyone to get involved in that. There are going to be about at least a couple of thousand UK participants for the UK for CSW, the Commission on the Status of Women. Send a short application, and it's not based on, you know, professional background or anything like
Hmm.
that. It can be from anyone, any walk of life, and any gender identity as well. So gosh, I'm going on a real train here.
No,
Um,
this is good.
so as well as the UN Women stuff, that's when I actually won Management Today's 35 under 35 for the first time, which again was a real springboard in my mind about what I wanted to do. Because it was a validation that the work I was doing in gender equality was helping, was making a difference to women, and it was recognized on a national scale, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I still can't really believe it years later. And then I studied at the University of Cambridge's Institute of Sustainability Leadership for a course called Women Leading Change, Shaping Our Future, which it was one of the best things I have ever done, ever done. It's an 8-week course, which has now sadly closed down, but it was made a huge difference to me in terms of, again, understanding, defining, communicating my purpose, which is one of the things I now support women with.
Mm. Hmm.
Um, then fast forward about another year, I stopped being an investigator and was asked to come back and teach the course at CISL part time, which was all online. And then in January 2024, so two years next week, I launched OP, Optimizing Potential, um, to be able to support women on a day-to-day basis, to be the very best that they deserve to be, mostly in their professional context. But as we know, that definitely relates to our personal contexts as well. And not only supporting those women, but supporting the systems within which they operate to recognize what it is that they need to do to break down systemic inequalities,
Mm-hmm.
to be high impact leaders, not only in their own contexts, but in the space of equity and equality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not been, and that's probably why the answer isn't short. It's not just been a turnaround. I don't
That's not.
have perhaps a kind of a typical, let's say, coaching background
Mm-hmm.
or training background from HR or maybe
Mm-hmm.
psychology. It's been because I've worked within the sector and had these women as my colleagues, as my clients, as my best friends, who are not being supported in the way that they needed to be supported.
Yeah.
And it made me think, F this, I'm going to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did, and it and I absolutely adore it. Absolutely adore it. You can't really ever not be an investigator deep down, I don't think. But being a consultant, running my own business, and every day, every day being able to support women reach their potential
Mm-hmm.
is beyond is beyond words amazing. I feel
Yeah,
incredibly fortunate to be able to be able to do what I love.
for sure. It must give you such your own sense of purpose, right? It
Yes,
gives
yeah,
you that
totally.
reason to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
Very different from investigating. What was the like, when did you kind of have that aha moment of going, "Do you know what? This is what I want to do. Like I really want to go
Hmm.
and make a change." What was there one of those? Was it
Yeah.
gradual? How did that come about?
Well, firstly, yes, it is phenomenally different to being an investigator. Um, Although there are some personality traits which I think lend themselves to both. I think there have been multiple kind of aha moments throughout my career, but not only throughout my career, just life, as corny as that may
Mm-hmm.
sound. My sister Amelia, who's 2 years younger, and I were brought up in a feminist household.
Okay.
And before people, well, I hope most people listening to this won't freak out at the word feminist, although we still have those people. But feminist simply means that we want equality, that women
Mm-hmm.
and other gender identities should be equal. Not that they should be
Yeah.
treated the same, not that women need to be ruling the whole world, although would that
Mm-hmm.
necessarily be such a bad thing? But my sister and I were brought up in a household which was was incredibly supportive of us as girls being strong, being bold, um, developing into being independent young
Mm-hmm.
women. My mum, who is now my business partner, we are equal partners in OP. She was a founding director of Childline with Esther Ransom when she
Oh,
was in her
wow.
20s. And so and my dad was an academic. So we were both my sister and I, who's now a clinical psychologist, were brought up in a space in which to fight for equality, to
Mm-hmm.
fight for justice, and
Mm-hmm.
to know our value, to know our worth. And then when, I guess the next aha moment, well, the strongest one I can really remember is being an investigator when I first came to the city, being a young a young kind of doe-eyed maybe is not the right term, but like very curious, perhaps a little naive, even
Mm-hmm. Oh,
after living,
absolutely.
yeah, even after living in Russia for a year and being quite independent, but coming down and being asked to do some things that were not that I should not have been asked to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I won't go into too much
No?
detail on air about that,
Yeah.
but there were certainly situations in which no one should be put into, and that and there was a gender divide. There was a difference in what women and men. There weren't any
Mm-hmm.
non-binary people in the spaces that I was working with at that time. Um, and it made me really want to fight, and it made me really want to it made me angry. It did
Mm-hmm.
make me angry. Going back to my
Mm-hmm.
sweatshirt earlier, it did make me angry about
Yeah.
the fact that the people around me, including myself, were not being treated as they ought to have been.
Mm-hmm.
I think that without sounding a bit like Batman, it's all very well for me to have had experiences, for me to have gone through stuff and continue to do so.
Mm.
But it's for the other people that I really do feel like a sense of injustice because
Mm-hmm.
so many other people, particularly women, do not necessarily have those levels of resilience that they need in order to be able to stand up and to all have the situations in which they can do that. Because
Mm.
people quite understandably are scared of speaking up.
Yeah,
Um,
of course. Especially
as
when you're young and
Yeah,
in that what like and you know what's really sad is that I think everyone can talk about every female could probably talk about some situation that's made them uncomfortable.
yeah,
And it still probably is the way. I appreciate it was a while ago when you and I were 21-year-olds in the city, but
yeah,
it is crazy. And I think that does make me angry. I wish you were still
yeah.
wearing that sweatshirt, by the way. Why'd you take it off?
I know your birthday's a while away, but I'll get you one for your birthday in December. Yeah, so I mean, going back to the question about the
Mm,
aha moments, like there are still they're still happening now. But in terms of actually launching the business, I am so hugely independent as well. And even though I love working with people, I would
mm,
suggest that I have not ever really enjoyed being an employee that much.
yeah.
I adore my clients, I have adored colleagues, um, but it working within a system like that in which I don't
Hmm.
have the control didn't work
Yeah.
out particularly well for me, and that's amazing that I've been able to have the support um from my mum to have that platform to do that.
Hmm. Hmm.
It has not been easy, for a year or so. I wasn't bringing in any money because that's
Hmm.
launching a business for you, and I don't ever want to pretend that it has been easy. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not. I feel quite exhausted from it.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
incredibly happy, and incredibly exhausted. Coming up to the two
Yeah.
years next week, I have been in full-on reflective mode, particularly, a
Oh,
little bit of downtime at Christmas, um, and a holiday to Istanbul with mum a couple of months before then.
nice.
We had some time to sit and to reflect, for the first time in a long time, and to actually, sipping a glass of wine or two, think, wow, I've done it. Because mum has had a business beforehand, and she has always been very set up with her own clients and connections in the public sector. So we do pretty
Okay.
different things.
Yeah.
Um, but to sit there and think, I've done it. I have done it.
Mm,
I have worked hard, and
hmm.
it's paying off.
Yeah.
It's paying off, and by that I mean it's helping women feel good,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that is
I
so
love that.
special.
I love that. And thank you for being honest about the fact that it's not easy. I think sometimes
Yeah,
it's like the whole glass mirror effect, right? People can see something from the outside in and think, oh, that must be easy. Like she gets to do the thing she
yeah.
loves and it must be super easy. It's like, no, I think there's work that goes into that as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Completely and utterly. And I think, some of my friends and contacts in the city, they still joke, "Oh, P, do you actually do any work?" Because what people see is the networking,
All the fun stuff. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I've got a black tie event on Thursday for a Burns night with one of my good friends who's a barrister. All the gorgeous things
Love that.
that go on in the surface, um, well, that you see on the surface rather,
Mm,
which are very fun, but they're also still work. They're also still networking. They're, as you
yeah.
know full well, Terry, like we need to do these things in order to build a profile, to
Hmm.
build the business, to help the women, to help the
Yeah.
people. It's all
Yeah.
connected. So when I am, you know, as some people might think, like floating around the city, sipping on a cocktail.
Mm,
It's also work. Yes,
hmm.
it's amazing, and I feel hugely privileged and lucky to be able to do that. Of course, I do. Um, and meet brilliant people in beautiful places. But it's taken a lot of work to get here, a
Yeah.
lot of work.
It's also the work outside of normal work hours, right? That you also
Yeah.
still do the grind, and then you will go to an award. Like when you and I bumped into each other, you'd been at an event before an event.
I had,
You
I
were
think, yeah, I think that was my third one of the evening, actually.
so, and this was at 8 p.m. So I was like, wow, hats
Yes.
off
Oh, yeah, that's
to
right. I
you.
delivered a client workshop.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
You were.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the iceberg too, isn't it? Nobody sees it. The underneath that is what's
It's
the
the
tip.
iceberg, and also running a business, the actual operations of a business. I didn't expect it to be this much.
Hmm.
Maybe that was
Oh, for
wildly
sure.
naive, but all of the admin is quite wild, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I get it, honestly. I think lots of people can relate. Maybe we need someone a virtual EA each. I think that's
Yes.
maybe
Yes, please.
2026 agenda. Um, Talk a little bit about Cambridge. So obviously that came at a time when you just decided to pivot from investigating. You were studying yourself, and then obviously they
Mhm.
asked you to take on the role of becoming
Yeah.
more of an academic and teaching that course. And that was a huge thing for you. Just tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. And I absolutely love that side of my career. I studied it when I had stopped working at the law firm in 2022, I think it was.
Hmm.
Yeah. And at the Institute of Sustainability Leadership. Yeah. To repeat, it's called Women Leading Change, Shaping Our Future. It was amazing. It was really, really a formative couple of months of self-reflection. Again,
Hmm.
challenging, and it was a lot of time commitment as well.
Of course.
Um, it took us through defining, communicating purpose, stakeholder management, um, uh, actually trying to make your business or whatever you want or whatever people choose, really your business or your nonprofit, or just identifying your goals. Generally, it took us through strategic and operational goals. Like it kind of forced you to make it tangible, real, as
Mm.
opposed to some academic studies which can be quite theory based. Um, it, this course was, yeah, very, very tangible, very strategic,
Mm.
and I probably haven't explained that very well, have I? But women leading change, which is again a course that's now stopped, was about supporting females internationally who were already in positions, whether that was private, public, or non-profit sectors,
Hmm.
to support them be higher impact leaders in that
Okay,
space whilst
great.
breaking down systemic inequalities.
Yeah,
Took me a while to get
yeah,
there, but I think I've
amazing.
explained that better now.
Amazing. And then that's kind of what led you to think, I need to do more of this. So I'm
Yeah,
sure it was very eye-opening in terms of
yeah. So I
actually
had,
studying it.
yeah, totally, completely. And after I studied that in that summer, I then did go back into an investigations role where I was a
Okay.
director of a global investigations team. But I think then that juxtaposition of having studied that and having
Hmm.
done so much nonprofit work up to that point, then going back into a senior role made me realize even more so that it's not what I wanted to be doing anymore. I had adored it, I really
Yeah.
had, but the realization that my purpose had changed
Mm.
um was quite stark, and and it. it is as simple as this for me now, even though I know that it's so difficult to be able to define and identify and communicate purpose. But it is, I had always wanted to be an investigator. Then I had found out what I wanted to do more, which was to support women.
Yeah.
Then my purpose was that. Like that is
Hmm.
my personal and professional purpose now. And it took that course to support me to recognize that and to have
Hmm.
thinking that thinking space, that thinking partner or thinking partners. And then, yes, very excitingly, in the May 2023, I was contacted by Cambridge and asked by the head tutor that had taught me, Janice Lau, who is a phenomenal human,
Mm.
that she had personally recommended that I come back and actually
Wow.
support on the course, which
Great.
I was doing for the last couple of years. And then Cecil closed down that course a
Okay.
couple of months ago. Think I very excitingly, there are still courses out there at different universities as well um, that teach similar things. I mean, I do it, of course, in my day-to-day life anyway, in a private capacity. And I also support on a course at CISL called High Impact Leadership, which is for all gender identities, to support people be as effective as they want to be in their contexts.
Mm-hmm. So talk us through obviously 2 years almost of
Mm.
OP, where like what's the problem statement when it comes to your business? Like what are you trying to solve that I guess many others are not?
What I am trying to solve, and it is my personal mission, back to the Batman. It is my personal mission I was about to swear then, to just to sort stuff out. And you can imagine which other word I was going to use. I just want I want to break down this cyclical rather, um, uh, ridiculousness when it comes
Mhm.
to people of all gender identities not supporting women to be the very best that they can be. You know, it's going to take 300 years to achieve gender equality. The latest statistic from the UN, 300 years without investment. And in the
Mm.
UK, it's about 120. So if we think about those numbers, which are balmy. And then we put that in contrast to some of the most recent research that came out last year between King's and Ipsos,
Mm.
that 1 in 3 Britons believe that gender equality has gone too far. I know. It's,
Oh.
yeah, and it's laughable, isn't it? It is.
Oh gosh.
It's making me cough. Um, it's laughable. Like you take that again, the 300 years, and of course that includes a
Who
huge
were
range
they asking?
of the wrong people, clearly.
Oh.
There, yeah. So those, that's a good question. So when they say 1 in 3 Britons, I mean you can go and have a look at Ipsos, and it provides a huge amount of information about the different categories of age,
Yeah,
sex, gender, disability, uh,
just makes me so mad.
etc. Yeah, it makes me mad, and this is why I've been saying to you like out loud, I'm trying not to swear. But this is what I want to try and do to support women be the very best that they can be from their personal and professional selves. That means, supporting them, well, supporting us, even myself as well. So break
Mhm.
down self-limiting beliefs, focus on self-validating beliefs. Again, defining and communicating purpose, which is so much more difficult than a lot of people think until you actually sit there and have the space and the thinking partner to do that with. Support women build out their networks, actually be even more effective when it comes to business in terms of stakeholder management, understanding where those levers of change are. Um, there's a huge amount of work which is hugely exciting that I'm doing with women on a one-to-one basis or in teams. And then at
Mm,
the same time, working at that meso level with organizations, with companies, with firms to understand what it is that they need to do to support, achieve gender
mm,
equity and equality. You know,
yeah.
one of the one of the barriers to change that again has been recognized by UN, particularly UN Women, into achieving gender equality, again going back to those 300 years, is women in leadership. It's
Hmm.
it is stated by them that we need to support more women get into and stay in
Yeah.
leadership positions
Yeah.
worldwide in order to break down inequalities.
Hmm.
So what I am trying to do on a day-to-day basis, both in, my private capacity, my academic capacity, and my non-profit capacity, is to do that
Yeah.
exactly, to support women be in those positions, as you very well are too, Terry. To
That's
support
why we started this, right? It's
exactly,
exactly the same thing.
exactly.
It's
And
crazy.
it takes women like us and indeed allies to get women in those positions
Mm,
and to keep them there.
yeah.
But even though I totally disagree with the statement that, it's women who need to change, it's the systems that need to change, there is still some uh, reflection, work, whichever word we might want to use, and it will be subjective, as women
Mm,
to recognize that we can do it. We have been brought up in systems, in communities, in countries where we have been told that we are not leaders.
mm,
Not
hmm.
necessarily that directly, but the social constructs and the language around leadership is so biased towards men. We keep thinking that, and again, I say we, i.e., societies, keep pumping out imagery, marketing, wording that leaders need to be charismatic, they need to be powerful, they need to have vision. And what the research is saying is that in order to be effective, high impact leaders, we need to have vulnerability, empathy, humility, which are words more commonly associated with women. That's not to say we need to make every leader uh, to be a woman, but it's
Hmm.
saying that we need to, as businesses, as business people, lean into those traits and
Hmm.
recognize that they are more commonly associated with women because we are we've been taught, from babies, from being in school, like and being in school, that we can't be in inverted commas soft. Um, and actually, to have those three things, let's take the empathy, humility, and vulnerability, they're not actually soft. Like
Yeah.
they take huge amounts of strength. And we need to combine the traits that we have been brought up to believe that as a
Hmm.
leader with those that are actually researched to be
Yeah.
those high impact traits. Again, of course, it's down to each individual. I'm a humanist. It's not about whether you're a woman, a man, non-binary. It's not
Hmm.
about you know, our sex, our gender. It's about us as each individual human. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Um, and one of my frustrations is when people think, women is just a category, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
All you women, all you women.
Yeah, or you've got an agenda that you're trying to push for women only. And you and I just realized, obviously, we actually had a connection before any of these things. We were on the same panel on different weeks. It was like the
Oh
same
my gosh, of
series,
course
wasn't it?
we were.
For Hayes
For Hayes
McIntyre, which
Mac,
again, yeah,
yeah.
which again was like all around women in leadership and trying to promote the ability to kind of have like my
Mm,
episode was the panel I was on was about allyship, and it's like I'm not just trying to push the agenda of women only. It's also like having others support us, but
Yeah.
also making sure that everybody's in the
Yeah.
conversation. We're not being one-sided.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm working a CEO role for the UK at the moment, and they're like, I'd love a female candidate.
Mm.
The ratio must be 20 to 1
Oh
of
my gosh.
males to
Mm.
females still. And then the women are still not really making it through because they don't have all of the boxes that they need ticking. And again,
Yeah.
like on my side, it's really a conversation around something has to give if you want a
Mm.
female candidate,
Mm.
because especially at that layer between like 40 to 55, I think there are less of them. I think more and more females are able to kind of go up this route
Mm.
now, and are maybe a bit more confident in being feeling that they can go and do it. But
Mm.
it's it's eye-opening how, and it's until you're actually in it, and these are like listed
Yeah.
companies, like just how little women there are, and it's really upsetting.
It is totally, and I think that I've got a couple of points reflecting upon that. One, this is why uh competition is bred so much with girls and women, which actually
Mhm.
we need it to be the complete opposite. It's
We will
understandable
talk
that
about
if
that.
you, yeah, if you're looking up at a board and you can see one woman on a board of 20 men,
Mhm.
then of course there's going to be competition. Um, I don't agree with it in the slightest, but it's understandable that these women who are in the systems think, oh gosh, well, if there's only a space for one of me, then I'm
Mhm.
going to have to fight for it. When actually, what we need to be doing is pulling each other up time and time and time and time again, no
Yeah.
matter your seniority, no matter your age, no matter your stage, no matter your background.
Yeah.
We need to be pulling women up,
Yeah.
girls up.
Yeah.
Um, and to my second point, which I think I think I can remember, but this is why no, it's gone. It's gone. No,
We
my
can get
second
back
point,
to
my second point has gone.
it's okay. Thinking about high impact, because obviously that's something you're coaching at the moment.
Mm,
And I think that's also something that is really, it will actually make a difference.
mm,
Beyond the buzzword, kind of like, this is what I'm trying to do. It's like, actually, how do I be successful in this space? Let's talk about that. And I think then if you could maybe kind of help with how businesses can try it. Like I've just mentioned there, I'm really trying to coach this current CEO on you're not going to find
mm,
a perfect woman, because ultimately men have been doing it for a lot longer. They probably tick a lot more boxes in this space that I'm in at the moment.
mm.
Whereas actually, I'm kind of like, if you hire for potential, you'll be able to find a woman. But it's
Yeah,
I'm just like really they can't see beyond that. But just let's go back a little bit to the high impacts. That's obviously something you're
yeah,
specifically focused on. What does that mean beyond kind of like a lot of people try and say that they're trying to do it, but I don't think they
yeah.
can talk
I also
tangibly
remember my
about
second.
it.
Sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt, Danny.
No, no,
I
go
remember
for it.
my second point. I remember my second point.
Oh, go.
What I was going to say is that we all know the kind of research, the stats, and also about women putting themselves forward for things that they don't think that
Yeah.
they um, can hit. So it's about, I think, us trying to recognize again on that broader scale. I say us, society, businesses, etc. That uh, that we need to support people
Hmm.
be resilient, not
And
just
advocating for
yeah,
others' rights. I think sometimes women are much
exactly.
more likely to advocate for somebody else versus like advocating for themselves.
Yeah,
Whereas it's that tail old thing of
yeah,
men will go for
exactly.
the job two levels above them, and women will always go one or two below, just
Yeah,
out of the. But that's again,
it's
it's the systemic thinking around like how we feel what we feel we're capable of, when that's just all we've been
yes,
programmed to think.
totally. Which is one of the most beautiful parts of my role is when, and they're really, you can just tell when someone has recognized and realized something within themselves, because there is a sparkle that comes into the eye.
Love
Again,
that.
it sounds cheesy, but it's true. It's so gorgeous. And for me, it's actually, you mentioned the kind of the 40 to 50 age bracket. For me, it's the women that are in that age bracket that are
Hmm.
having these moments, who
Yeah.
have been partners for a couple of decades and are, top of their game, brilliant, brilliant,
Hmm.
brilliant women, brilliant businesswomen, let alone what they're juggling in their personal lives, right?
Hmm.
And they are the ones that've been like, it's the first time I'm being asked to think about my purpose. I've just been doing it.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
get that.
and they want to be able to define their purpose. It's that's what they're wanting to be able to do. Anyway, your question about your question about high impact. I think for me, high impact is about being able to carry out our roles, making a difference. And again, that I know that's a subjective term because that depends on our contexts, but also doing it being authentic and being supported to be authentic in hopefully psychologically safe environments,
Hmm.
because that means that we can affect change.
Yeah.
So it's about doing what we do. And from my particular point of view and the particular work that I'm doing, breaking down systemic inequalities,
Hmm.
again, particularly when it comes to gender for all intersectionalities,
Mm.
and doing that how we want and need to do it. Yeah. Authenticity to me is the most key. Well, there are lots of key things, aren't there? But
Yes.
a hugely powerful tool, a hugely powerful recognition
Hmm.
of ourselves to really be you, to really be
So
me.
true. Had 30 female leaders on the podcast now, and all of them will
Wow.
link to authenticity in
Amazing.
some way. Like
Gorgeous.
and if
Yeah.
you see the common themes, it really is that
Mm.
sort of, so obviously the usual things around like hard work and being able
Mhm.
to know your worth, but
Yeah.
authenticity underpins
Yeah.
every conversation.
Because if we're authentic, and there's a whole piece that we could talk about on
Yeah.
maybe a whole different session
Yeah.
on authentic leadership.
Yeah.
If we are authentic, it means that we are able to, recognize our purpose. We are able to live out our purpose,
Hmm.
and we are
Hmm.
good at it because we love it, because we're
Yeah.
able to be ourselves on a
Yeah.
day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And I know it's not simple. Of course it's not, particularly working within systems that are not made, designed and run by us as women. And indeed, authenticity goes to all gender identities, of course it does. But, authenticity links to psychological safety. It links
Hmm.
to increased humor, which then,
Love that.
yeah, increased, I think it was della zona. Della zona. Do you like my accent then? Della zona.
Amazing.
He um his research is about psychological safety and how that links to um us feeling safe, of course, and us feeling included with inclusion and
Mm,
safety, and linking that to increased humor, um,
mm,
because which then links to increased retention, reputation, pipeline. You know,
yeah.
even though I believe in these things from a very deep value point of view, there is
Mhm.
huge business advantage
Yeah.
to breaking down systemic inequalities.
100%.
Huge,
100%.
huge business advantages. Um, the IMF research about how many $1 billion could be made by having
Hmm.
gender equality on a global scale when it comes to business and finance is unreal.
Mm,
Fascinating research the IMF has done there. Um, so I think it's hearts and minds as well. It's
for
and I
sure.
appealing to, as you know this incredibly well with the work that you do, it's appealing to understanding people and appealing to the different things that are going to make them tick. are going
Mhm.
to make them recognize that what we need to do is change, is to make a
Mhm.
difference.
Mhm. Just on that, so like this business where I'm hiring CEO as an example, and obviously they'd love a diverse profile, but I don't think are necessarily willing to make the step
Mm,
to to find the diverse person because it's such a limited pool to play in that I think it won't be a linear move,
mm,
which sometimes can't work, right? If you need a specific type of skills and we
mhm,
don't have them in a diverse profile, unfortunately, there's not really a way to break a change. But if an organization wanted to try and do that, how do you feel like they could try and make that shift?
I think the first the first difficult step that most organizations need to do is recognize the state in which, very truthfully, that they are
Mm,
in as an organization
mhm,
internally. And that, so it's moving from being um, unconsciously incompetent
yeah.
to
Okay. Yeah. I've heard this
conscious
before.
to
Yeah.
yeah to consciously incompetent,
Yeah.
then moving that to being consciously competent to
Hmm.
unconsciously competent.
Yeah.
So for me, the first step would always be recognition of
Hmm.
what the actual state of affairs is.
Yeah.
Um, and understanding A, why they might not be attracting
Mm.
certain people, if that may or may not be the case, and B, how they can actually support people, other organizations, and systems as a whole to pull up people from diverse backgrounds, from younger pools into those spaces, because you're, of course, you know this, and you know, there's only so much we can do if, in, let's say, the 40 to 50 age gap has got XYZ in, but then we need to be future planning, forward thinking about how to attract and how to support people from different backgrounds get into those spaces. Um, so even if there isn't a an immediate current step that
Hmm.
people can
Hmm.
take, think about actions about how to actually be high impact. That is,
Yeah.
again, goes back to the high impact leadership. It's about it's about supporting systemic change. It's about looking
Mhm.
outside your own box,
Yeah.
um, and understanding that we're all on this planet
Hmm.
and to try and achieve change together.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those women that are listening who might feel overlooked or underestimated, or if there's a blocker in the way of them moving into that role, what's one practical move they could make
Mm.
to try and move that up?
What I would, again, this isn't this isn't a quick fix, but then I don't believe that the quick fixes, if there ever are any work.
Mm-hmm.
But one tool that I would that I use a lot with my clients, and it's very effective, and there's a huge duty of care with this, so I would want people to be very kind and considerate to themselves, uh, and provide themselves with some proper thinking time, is to uh, jot down your self-validating beliefs. Okay,
Okay.
by that I mean the things that we love about ourselves. It's People find it incredibly difficult to do because
Hmm.
we focus so much, and again, this is from how we've been brought up most of the time in the context like school or whatever. We're focused on things that we're not good at, that we need to improve, but which are self-limiting beliefs. And also on things that self-limiting beliefs are beliefs that someone has something that someone has told us at a vulnerable time, or a particular time that's important to us, or that person was particularly important. And then those beliefs turn into our behaviors kind of subconsciously. But what I want people to do is focus on self-validating beliefs. So I've got some post-it notes in front of me, and get some post-it notes, and on one page, write something you love about yourself, just a word, and then the next page, and try and do about five, six, seven, and don't think about the things, for those 20 minutes, 30 minutes that you want to improve, or that you might want to change, or that someone has told you,
Mm.
but actually write down the things that are gorgeous, because we focus so little on those traits, on
Hmm.
those values. And why I think that's such a special and effective exercise is, if we are going for a role and we don't quite believe in ourselves that we can achieve XYZ, whether that's because of, the whether that's because of ourselves or because of the systems, but it can really provide some recognition of our qualities. It might
Mm.
sound quite simple, but it's a lot more. It's People find it a lot more difficult.
No, I love that. Yeah, I think I would find that difficult. I'm going to go and do it and see.
It is a really good tool. It's a really, really good
Mm.
tool. It doesn't, you can take as long or as short as you want, but
Mm.
it does also mean to be quite strict with yourself in terms of, like, one per page. Just push out any thoughts of negativity, because
Hmm.
we do all have them, and pop down some gorgeous things about yourself.
I'm going to do it.
What my mum sometimes actually suggests is that per day, or if, let's say you picked seven, or you
Yeah.
picked five for the working days, if people are working those 5 days, take one post-it note with you, like just pop it in your handbag or pop it in the back of
Love
your
it.
diary. I mean, I'm old school and I've got, as you know, a paper diary. Um, and take one word with you and
Yeah,
have that resonate within you for the day. Um,
love it.
and maybe, I mean, I've done it before, and I think it's really wonderful.
I love that. I'm going to do it, and I will tell you down. This year, obviously, October 2025, appointed consultant, the sole leadership consultant for the UN Women UK, which is
Yeah.
incredible. And you're working on Gen Equal.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I think it's a huge thing to talk
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hugely exciting role. It's the first time that UN Women UK have appointed someone. Oh, I mean, it's on a voluntary basis. It's incredibly important to me that I do pro bono work, as well as my private stuff. Um, Gen Equal was launched last year for 18 to 30-year-olds, to support them be the next generation of people breaking down systemic inequalities, particularly when it comes to gender, again, of all intersectionalities. And it's a about a 10-month program, in which the participants, the cohorts, go through different workshops, and they work on projects themselves, in their context throughout the UK,
about.
um, to see how they can achieve equity and equality within those spaces. It's really
Love that.
exciting. It's, again, a little bit reflective of the Cambridge course that I was talking about. What's important is that it's strategic, it's practical,
Mm. Hmm.
and,
And
a
it's
bit like your
micro
question.
things, yeah,
Yeah,
but big
yeah,
impact across the whole of
yes,
everybody's space. Then, right?
yeah.
It's
Because
very
it's,
clever.
as you know, it's not, you know, the change comes in action. It's brilliant to talk about it. I
Yeah,
100% believe that we need to talk about it, because that increases visibility,
lots.
it
Yeah.
increases understanding and education. But action is where change happens. So yeah, I am specifically working with UN Women UK on Gen Equal, as well as the whole UN Women UK community. And I am facilitating workshops with the young people, which is very
Nice.
exciting. I say young people, like I know I'm only 34, but I feel like there's a big difference between being 30 and 34.
There is.
There
There
is,
is.
there
Yeah.
really is. With these amazing, amazing young people of a huge variety of backgrounds. You've got nurses, we've got students. They're a huge range of and a huge range of diversity as well. Um, I'm working with them on how to be high impact, effective leaders when it comes to breaking down gender inequality.
Mhm.
So the launch session that I did with them in October was about, who
Mm.
they are, what they wanted to achieve. And the next session, and it was very much kind of community building, etc., getting to know me and getting to know the amazing Atonte, who's the head of community there. And the next session I will be doing with them very soon is on defining and communicating purpose and understanding what your mission is.
Yeah.
And from your mission, developing that into purpose, developing that into action, and working very much with them on kind of the what, the how, the why, understanding those that, the differences in terms of your what's driving you, your why, your North Star, as Simon Sinek
Yeah.
says. Um, and because it's difficult, you need thinking partner, you need a thinking partner to do that with, thinking
Mm.
partners to do that with.
Mm.
And we'll be going through levers of change, stakeholder management. Again, very similar to some of the stuff that I'm doing with my private clients.
Mhm.
But I'm supporting these people to go forth and conquer, really, to 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 really challenge the status quo.
Yeah. And as you say, it is that's where hopefully more
Mm,
impact can be had. We're not too kind of late in the stage for,
mm,
like, for example, with some of these exec roles that I have, unfortunately, there's just not enough people in the market
mm.
to be able to really make the change. So hopefully, if we're coming in early enough, and people are comfortable enough
Yeah,
to kind of vouch for themselves, I think we
yeah.
will start to see a shift. It's not a quick shift, obviously, but
No.
it's
And
a
I
shift.
think your question earlier about like what, that practical step that women or allies can take. And I suggest about the self-validating beliefs, but in a different vein, go and tell people about the 300 years. Go and tell
Mm.
people about the
Hmm.
120 years.
Yeah.
That just tell someone that
Yeah,
today.
it's true.
Because that makes a difference. Because there's a lack of understanding about what we're actually facing. Again, going back to that 1 in 2 Britons. I think I might have accidentally said 1 in 3 Britons earlier. I'm not sure. It's 1 in 2 Britons. So I think it's like
Wild.
47, 48% of people think that it's gone too far. So I apologize if I said 1 in 3 earlier. But again, take that statistic and tell someone, like,
Mm.
because people don't know.
They
Um,
don't.
no, and it's not a criticism. It's not suggesting that anyone is ignorant. It's simply that we, people don't know the actual state of play.
And I think people are so unless, like yourself, when you kind of take yourself out of that
Mm,
situation, so you see it across multiple different businesses, and the story's still the same. Similarly to, I guess, to how I see it, and that's part of why I did start She Who Leads, because think about all these different women that I speak to, and unfortunately, within their own businesses, it's still the same. So
yeah.
everyone kind of thinks, oh, it's just us for this business, but actually,
Mm,
when you look at it on a macro level, it's everybody is in the same state.
yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I think it is just the thinking around that rather than being so, it's easy to be laser focused in your own team and your own business. And I appreciate
Yeah.
that. But I think sometimes when you think about bigger state of play and you realize that actually it's not just my business, it's probably all of us in this whole space that are experiencing the
Exactly.
same.
Exactly. And it goes to the point of earlier, when you're saying, what do you think these businesses can do to kind of attract more diverse um, candidates? Well, think bigger.
Mm,
Think about the future as well. It's not just
hmm.
now,
Yeah.
it's planning to be a sustainable business and a sustainable sector for years to come.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's so hugely important. I would actually suggest as well. God, all the tips are coming out now. For people who haven't heard of the SDGs, go and have a look at them. So that's the United Nations. It's their sustainable development goals, the
Okay.
SDGs, which they're trying to achieve. One of which is gender equality. So I'd really advise businesses to go and have a look at those.
Yeah, I love that as a bit of advice. Thank you. Obviously, we talked about a little bit about it. You're turning two soon in
Yes.
terms of optimizing potential. Um, what does that milestone represent for you? I imagine it's a huge one.
Yeah, I actually feel a little bit in disbelief that I'm doing what I'm doing.
Hmm.
Really, I really do. I wake up. I mean, I am not a morning person. I am a night owl through and through. I mean, you can see on
Me too.
the print behind me says Carpe Noctem, and that says it all.
Love
Um,
that.
and but I wake up every day, no matter what time that might be, later in the morning. And I really feel so hugely lucky and proud. And then I don't like using the word luck on myself or other people really because it's not luck. It's been hard blooming work. But I still do feel very
Yes.
privileged. So I still use the word even though I think it is actually just comes from, quite frankly, determination.
Hmm.
And the support of the right people. The friends, particularly my very close girlfriends around me who uh, have supported me hugely to be where I am today. Um, and my family
Hmm.
have been incredible, um, and have provided me with the space to be myself and to be able to really reflect and understand this last couple of years what it is I want to achieve. And going back to purpose, which, as you probably got by now, was one of my specialisms working with people. But going back to purpose, it takes time, and it took me, it, you know, I, yes, I was self-employed. Yes, I was a shareholder director of OP, but it took then multiple more months before actually launching.
Mm.
I was investing in my networks still. There were times that I was sitting in my apartment um, and thinking, crikey, what on earth am I doing? It would have been so easy to go back into investigations and get a senior role in
Hmm. Hmm.
investigations, and particularly with the network that I've built. It Coming up to the 2 years, I feel like my resilience has increased phenomenally, because, and I'm sure you've had this from a lot of your business women that you've interviewed before, Terry, like it takes no's to also know where you want to go.
For sure.
It takes people saying no. It takes that bounce back to not only understand the direction in which you want to go, but understand the people that you want to be working with. And I think what I feel
Mm.
really gorgeous about now is I really get to choose the people that I'm working with. That is a really wonderful position to be in.
Hmm. For sure.
Um, but yeah, I also do feel, like I said, that my first answer was disbelief. I feel crikey, I've done it. A bit like I was saying, my mum and I went to Istanbul a few months ago. I kind of sat there and being like, oh my gosh, you've done it. You've done it, P.
Love that.
And I will continue to do it, and I will continue to work incredibly hard because I believe in it. I believe in what I'm doing. I
Hmm.
believe that every single woman should be should also wake up every day and feeling good, And I know it's not easy. I know that there will be things that I will never be able to change,
Mm,
particularly in different jurisdictions and the situations that we're going in. Of course, I know that on a macro level, but
mm,
I will try as hard as I can to support as many women as I can. Um, and I am living out my purpose. I
yeah.
think that for the next year is going to be about consolidation of the business.
Yeah.
After I feel like running a marathon but at full speed, which I definitely
Hmm.
didn't run the London Marathon at. That was not a high speed. But yeah, this next year is about consolidation, like looking from years, 2 to 3, and about yeah, supporting as many women as I can. I mean, it keeps coming back to that.
Yeah.
Um,
Good.
being
That's why we're
curious,
here.
yeah, being curious, being kind, being resilient, and
Yeah.
having fun doing it.
Yes. Which is, it's hard at times,
Yes,
but
it
important.
is. It is.
We're approaching the end, but it's been amazing chatting to you. We always ask around legacy, and particularly obviously when thinking about OP and where you're going. What change do you hope your work has created? And I don't like to put a timeline on it, but if you think about kind of the next couple of years, you've done two, so think about the next two. Like, what do you hope to have achieved by then?
I think I repeat what I've just said in terms of I want to support as many women as possible. I want to support the organizations recognize that they need to change their systems. Um, and I think for me, again, it goes back to that look in people's eyes when they've realized something or recognized something. I want to support more of those moments. And people often ask me about, well, they often use the word empower, and I don't like the words, even though I know it's important in some contexts. You know, we already have it within us. We
Hmm.
have got
Hmm.
that power. We have got that strength, and we need to be supported to recognize that strength to utilize it. So. I would like to, in another 2 years' time, be sitting here and to have supported more women harness their own power.
Love that. I love that. And what, finally, last question. What is one belief about women in leadership that you wish the world would finally
Crikey.
stop saying?
We don't have another 45 minutes, do we?
Sadly not.
Um, yeah, it's that is that women are not effective leaders because we are. Um, and it's about recognizing that the traits that are more often associated with women in leadership positions are incredibly significant
Mhm.
and are going to benefit us all. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining us.
you.
You are a powerhouse. I think anyone that's listening to this will be inspired to either look at the application for the UN Women
Hmm.
UK or will actually start talking to their own businesses about maybe a bit of internal self-reflection on what's happening
Mm.
with them. Otherwise, hopefully people are thinking about their own purpose. And I think there's so many things that people will take away from today. So thank you so much for joining us.
Hopefully. Well, thank you so much. And I think as long as everyone remains curious and remains kind, then we can't go far too wrong, can we?
I love that. And hopefully people will start seeing more of you and I together this year at some point. So
Yes.
more to
Future
come.
collaborations, more to come indeed. Thank you so
Yes,
much for having me, and thank you
of
everyone for
course.
listening.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.